spot it if it's fear, you know. It could be that it's a complex environment and there's multiple factors with changing circumstances. It could just be technically a tough decision. Or what I've, you know, seen, and there tends to be a bit of a gender aspect to it, not always. I think men and women are both fearful in the work environment, but it can be. But is there some element of fear that's holding you back? And really have a good look at that and think about why and what it is. Because normally decision-making can be a relatively rational process of pros and cons. I say that, though, because, someone's holding up a 1 for us.
Does that mean 1 hour or 1 minute?
I'll stop talking at that point. I've used up my 1 minute, so I'm stopping.
I could just keep on going. I'm having so much fun here. So, you know, so we are given the signal and we have more in the afternoon. I want to ask each of you, as you look out into the audience, what is the one key message you would like to leave with them that they could, in fact, take with them and go, you know what, I think I can do this? Why don't we start over there? And we'll just kind of go.
One is I don't want to repeat some of the messages given. I want to give one different message.
A fresh one.
I think organizations like ours, which try to improve diversity, need to do a better job to explain the reasons why they want to push for diversity. I think we just don't explain that well enough. I think we should spend some time explaining the business reasons for diversity. Too often, we leave it loose. So people are questioning, why are they asking for more female representation? Why? The Coca-Cola company's board is 42% women. There's still a way to go to get to 50-50. Our leadership diversity amongst the leadership pipeline is above 40%. But then when we looked at some data, take Coca-Cola beverages, broadly 50% consumed by men and 50% consumed by women. A little higher skew towards men, 52-48. But purchase decisions are skewed more on the female side. Okay? And yet, all the decisions, if we were going to do it with a male-centric view, the people buying our soft drinks are women. So there are strong business reasons why organizations should mirror society. At least, at best, at least they should mirror their consumer base. So I come back to my broader point. We're not doing a good job with explaining why diversity. One important reason in corporations is it is important for business. And then that removes all other kinds of defensive behavior in people and, oh, she got the job because, they want to fulfill a quota. I think it's doing a disservice to women by saying we want to get the female representation up. But if you said it's because of business reasons, then everybody will sign on.
Yeah, I would say, I'll be shorter. So I would say, be the authentic yourself, believe in yourselves, and believe in that you can do anything and you can achieve anything.
So J&J is a broadly based healthcare company, so we talk a lot about building the healthiest workforce, and the inclusive environment is really helping people to be their personal best. So my one message is take care of yourself, self-care, be self-caring. Self-care is not selfish. Really protect your time, direct your energy to what really matters, because we cannot get our professional best until we get our personal best. So be our personal best first.
I just pick up the UN Women's slogan, choose to challenge. And I know it's hard, and I think particularly in some cultures it's particularly hard, and it's hard around gender and it's hard around age. The younger you are, perhaps the harder it is. But think about what you can do in your environment, and choose to challenge. I thought it was beautiful the way that one of our speakers earlier was challenged and received it so graciously. I can't remember the name of the speaker, but I thought it was just a beautiful moment, really, where it was an environment in which the facilitator felt free to challenge and it was received in a gracious way. I think that's a great example.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. I really want to thank all of you for opening up your hearts, for sharing your story, for having this conversation. I sort of felt like you were in my living room. We've just met each other, so I really felt like I was sitting around the room with old friends. And thank you so much for this afternoon.
Thank you. May I invite you to have a photo right in the front, please? If you would step, and then the photographer will get a picture of you guys. So yes, woo! What time is it? Are you awake? I know you're awake. It's amazing what the panel's discussion is, and I know all of us are learning great tips. So again, challenging yourselves to move forward. And so again, thank you, Cindy, Claire, Echo, Vamsi, and Li Meng. Thank you very much for your today's time. Thank you so much. So, okay, I think we've been sitting a while and so on. I've been looking out in the audience. I would like to everybody invite you to stand up. Please, everybody stand up. Okay? And please feel free to continue standing. As we know now, the new sitting is not very good for us. All that sitting all day long, and conferences like this and summits like this, it's not easy. So we actually have two virtual keynote speeches to share. Let me see, hold on. Yep. And with that, you can stay standing while you watch. How's that? Isn't that great? So that you don't feel like you have to sit down and so forth. Now, obviously, if somebody's taller in front of you, just move to the side slightly, okay? So first, let's welcome our virtual keynote speaker, Victoria Kwok, Vice President, East Asia and Pacific, World Bank, to deliver her speech, Women's Economic Empowerment, not just a slogan, but smart economics. So let's watch the speech.
Distinguished guests and participants, it is an honor to be addressing you here today on the critical topics of women's empowerment and women's leadership. No country can reach its potential without the full inclusion of women. Empowering women is essential to achieving broad-based, stable, and resilient economic growth. This is why we at the World Bank have put gender equality at the core of our work. Globally, countries are losing an estimated $160 trillion in potential human capital wealth because of gender inequality, with $40 to $50 trillion of that human capital loss coming from our East Asia Pacific region. Increasing the participation of women in the labor force will not only be critical as economies recover from COVID-19, which has exacerbated gender inequalities across the world, but it is also a vital component in building stronger and more inclusive societies. In China, we see that female labor force participation and earning gaps have widened in recent decades, while narrowing in many other parts of the world. This is unlike any other country that has transitioned to a more services-based economy. Our research and that of the IMF find that there are both economic and policy factors driving this widening gender gap in the labor market. Understanding where and how laws are holding women back is essential to changing these dynamics. For example, the World Bank's annual Women, Business and the Law report collects data on the laws and regulations that restrict women's economic opportunities in 190 economies. China's performance in the Women, Business and the Law Index has improved over the last 50 years, indicating a positive trend towards legal gender equality in the country. When it comes to constraints to women's freedom of movement, laws affecting women's decisions to work, legal constraints related to marriage, and gender differences in property and inheritance, China gets a perfect score of 100. However, when it comes to laws affecting women's work and pay, hurdles to women's ability to start and run a business, and laws affecting the size of a woman's pension, there is clearly room for improvement. For example, women in China cannot work in the mining and water industries or in jobs deemed dangerous. Jobs in such industries often pay more, and restrictions to women's work can impact their earning potential and prevent them from holding leadership positions. More broadly, China is among the 100 economies worldwide in which it is legally acceptable to pay women less for equally valued jobs. We also know from our research in China and across the region that access to quality public and private elder and childcare services has a significant impact on women's employment and staff turnover in the private sector. Childcare support from the state has declined in recent decades, with the result that Chinese women spend more time at home taking care of their children, limiting their ability to participate fully in the labor force. In addition, the care burden can lead women to concentrate in low-paid, informal or home-based work as a means of balancing unpaid care work and paid employment, contributing to gender wage gaps. Childcare costs have also been rising faster than incomes in China, with many lower-income families facing relatively high childcare costs in relation to their earnings. With the rapid aging of the Chinese population, the burden of elderly care is likely to disproportionately fall on women and further exacerbate gender inequality and women's ability to productively participate in the labor market. There is much China can do to reduce these inequalities and address these imbalances. This includes removing discriminatory practices against women in the workforce and in pay to level the playing field. The availability of low-cost, high-quality child and elder care would lift the burden on women seeking employment and on firms that would have to pay a premium to hire women. Easing regulations and entry barriers to boost productivity in the service sector would also have the knock-on effect of reducing gender gaps while supporting the economy. Real change can also be driven by inclusiveness at the top, by promoting women in leadership positions. Such leaders not only can serve as positive role models, they can also help create the environment for women to enter, stay, and progress successfully in the workforce. There are also positive economic returns. Studies show that adding one more woman to a firm's senior management or corporate board is associated with an 8 to 13 basis point higher return on assets. And this does not require major capital investments or large costly